What is the difference between a nation, a state, and a country?
Um, I would guess that a nation is, what was it? Nation, state, and
Country.
okay, a country has to do more with how how much land a nation occupies, and a state is basically like a province which is within a nation, and a country is I don't even know which one's everything. Which one's everything? A nation. I thought a nation and a country were the same thing.
Okay.
All right, the difference between a country, a nation, and a state. Well, there are two types of states. One is a state like Georgia or Indiana, which is not sovereign, so they don't they don't have their own borders. They have to obey a higher law, which is the federal government. Um, then there's a state that's similar to a country. They can be interchanged, and that's like someone who has the decision to make all of their own choices. So the United States, they're a sovereign country, so they're kind of like their own state, and that's like without a capital. And then state, that's named Georgia, Hawaii, Indiana, that's a capital S. And then a nation is I believe it's sort of like a country, but it's not about the sovereignty. It's about the nationality and the ethnicity and a type of culture that goes together.
Okay. A state. A state is a certain location where it has cities and towns in different places, and a country is different places around the world that are located or named a certain way, or there's some on the east, north, south, west, and then a nation is, I believe it's all over, but certain groups of people. So that's my opinion on what those are.
A state is like the state of Indiana, and many of those make up the country, USA. And a nation is um, one nation under God.
Okay, so what exactly is the difference between a nation, a state, and a country? First off, a country is vastness of land. For an example, hill country. It describes just a land area in general. Next, a state represents a governmental rule of an area by political units. There are a couple requirements in order for an area to actually be considered a state. Those requirements are independently control internal affairs and conduct foreign relations, have a defined boundary, have permanent population and territory, and be internationally recognized. So an example of a state would be America. A lot of times people think it's a country, but it's technically a state because it is one whole area that is ruled by the government. And a lot of times state and country are synonymous for each other, but state is the correct term. Lastly, we have a nation. And a nation is a self-defined cultural or social community. So a nation oftentimes is a group of people which share a common culture. For an example, the Kurds or also the Cherokee.